this is a political time, and political time, if you have such an allegation that you consider very grave, and this is a very grave one, because the initial conduct of the dramatics personnel was to deny that those recordings were not their voices, but later they owned up and said they were their voices, but they were doing a different thing, different from what...
Of course, which is subject to interpretation, because that's the way they saw it, but quite different from how...
Such an allegation in any sense society should not go uninvestigated. What you do is to find out the veracity of that particular tape and find out whether actually there was intention to rig or whether there was any planning that took place, especially when you have mentioned those big names. He was a minister, and he was a minister of state in defense, and some of the things he said was really very grave, telling the man that he is here representing the president of the country. So with the president name being used, the president would even be very, very interested in clearing his own name also, because they have mentioned his name. In any country where there is law and order, no country will ever have such a grave allegation against some very important personalities in government that has to do with the rigging of an election in a state within the federation, and you allow that particular matter to be uninvestigated. And meanwhile, you now submitted the name of that person that is allegedly involved in that particular thing to the Senate, and you want him to be cleared. And that's why the entire 3 senators in a particular state have written against the nomination of that candidate, and that's why people in Lagos State, you see the students also protesting that man is not qualified. Clear his name first. And I think Obanikoro should be interested in also in clearing his name. I hear he has gone to court. That is also an avenue for that matter to be also. But I think the presidency and the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria should be interested in such an allegation of many important personalities, a serving minister, a former, a former senator, or still in the Senate, was involved, and some other, even a minister also was involved. Yes, of the police affair was also involved in that particular thing. So I think the only thing they could have done is to, set up an investigative panel to really look into this issue and clear their name.
Achike, what's your take? You think he should have just gone to clear his name first before coming to submit himself for screening, for ministerial screening?
Well, this is the beauty of providing a legitimate opposition in a country and in a community and so on. Because it means that people with the resources and with the means will not be able to ride roughshod over the people. Of course, for me, maybe based on my own orientation and where I'm coming from, I scrutinize in detail as much as possible the trajectory and the ideological base of these 2 political parties, for instance, and I might not be impressed. But the reality is that in 1999, 2003, and parts of 2007, we had a near unassailable lead at the National Assembly, by the ruling People's Democratic Party. In fact, in 1999, 2003, they had over 2/3 majority of members of National Assembly. Of course, they do not have that now. Exactly. And so the fact that this has become an issue is essentially because a formidable opposition, platform more or less has been provided. If not, you think he would have been cleared? Or if not, it would have. That is what has always happened in this country. But should he even have gone to the National Assembly? Yeah, you also know that even before now, we have had this kind of controversy, maybe of a different kind, but controversial appointment of a minister, an appointee of Olusegun Obasanjo when he was president. That is, the media campaign person now of the president. That's he was appointed, had to go to the senators whom he had roundly abused as his fashion, really. And then unfortunately, he met a Senate that was highly critical and disapproving of his antics in the past, and he had to, in Yoruba local parlance, he had to dobale, for the Senate, and had to beg profusely before he was allowed. Now, you see, a lot of water has passed under the bridge, and it would appear that the political class in this country are going for broke, and no quarter asked, there's no quarter asked, no quarter given, and that is why some of us are really worried. And so what is happening is that there are some senators on the floor there that are ready to exact fully. But beyond the issue of politics, what do you think should be the ideal? Well, the ideal issue is, look, abroad, and maybe even in a few African countries, when there's controversy surrounding a particular person. I remember when a boat carrying some immigrants or so, some people, sank in Senegal, killing over 50 people. The minister in charge of that ministry resigned. He had no direct bearing on that particular boat that sank. But there was a sense of responsibility and duty So he felt he had to do that.
And perhaps the president should have just said...
With regards to this, with regards to the way you have this kind of controversy, you know, dogging your trial, what you want to do is, first and foremost, is because your name is important to you, want to clear that name. Yes, I agree. When he says, I'm here, you know, on a mission for the president from the Constitution, what the Constitution says is the chief security officer of this country. And so his duty is to ensure safety and security of Nigerians. So if he's there as Minister of Defense for State, for Defense and so on, and he says, I'm here on, you know, presidential mission and so on, perhaps that mission is about the safety of the citizens in Ekiti State. But you cannot take that one only alone. You have to look at all the other things that happen in that particular issue. So when he has this kind of controversy dogging him, I would expect that he will be angry enough that people had associated himself with this kind of ignoble and unpalatable exercise, and then try to clear his name first. And after having done that, he now goes back, his dignity intact.
Okay, I'm just going to we're rounding off now because we haven't got time. Do you very quickly now, in just say about 60 seconds, do you think the Senate will clear Obanikoro?
Yeah, from the look of things, he's appearing before them on Tuesday. Ordinarily, they ought not to. They shouldn't. When 3 senators from the same state have raised an objection, and so many petitions against him, and then there is a case in court, in Lagos High Court, against him, against his eligibility even to be a minister. So those issues should impinge on the mind of the Senate, not to clear him for now until those issues are resolved. But I think they maintain a slight majority in the Senate. And since they maintain that slight majority, don't be surprised on Tuesday.
But we also know that some PDP members are
I do not,
there are some PDP members also that are not happy also with Obanikoro.
I do not think he will clear the hurdle.
Yeah.
Especially if he goes back to the Senate.
I want to believe the Senate not going to be subject to a voice.
But I tell you,
unless if he goes back to them the way he has been going, nothing is going to happen. There must be some underground,
let me say it before we go. If the president of the country, President Jonathan, is bent on having Obanikoro as his minister, or even under this present dispensation, and they maintain a slight majority in that Senate, that man may likely pass through on Tuesday. But there is a snag. Most of the senators are not coming back, so they're also angry with the president. So the president may not have that majority to have.
And what is wrong in the president just asking him to just withdraw? I mean, this is a moral question. So the president could as well just tell him.
That is one of the issues people have against
the president. Could
because
simply
most times,
just withdraw the name.
The president does not listen to the people. When he came, he ruled under a very goodwill of the people. But most time he does his things without minding what the people say. The issue of morality, Desiani, as people have been clamoring for his removal. Why he listened to us was with respect to Stella Odua. But even at that, we have to push him and say this woman ought not to remain as a minister. So sometimes the president doesn't listen to the majority of it. But now that we are playing politics and he's coming to contest on 28th of March, he may for once listen to us.